Keith Urban country royalty, guitar hero, global tour machine, just broke his silence in a way that's raw, haunting, and maybe even telling more than he intended. It all starts with The Road, his new reality show. On the surface, it's a music competition, 12 rising artists vying to open his tour. But behind the scenes, Keith laid bare some of the emotional cost of life on the road, weeks before news of his separation from Nicole Kidman hit the headlines. According to his own words, waking up on a bus at 3:30 a.m., sick as a dog, far from family, no rest, just another show that night. Completely lonely and miserable, he said. He described the pain openly. You ask yourself, why am I doing this? The only answer can be because this is what I'm born to do. That isn't just a confession, it almost sounds like a warning. This is his calling, but it's demanding more than he might have thought he could give. This candor comes against the backdrop of his split with Nicole Kidman after 19 years of marriage. Nicole filed for divorce in September 2025, officially citing irreconcilable differences. The two had been living separately, and emotionally, their worlds had drifted apart. Some insiders say the separation wasn't sudden, that Keith quietly set up his own place. When that happened, the writing was on the wall, according to those close to him. People who know them believe it was only a matter of time, that their lives had simply stopped overlapping. But let's dig deeper. What's really going on here? On The Road, he performed Straight Line from his album High. This isn't just another song. According to Keith, it's a reflection of wanting to break free from a soul-sucking routine. He's been open before, saying the song is about feeling alive again and getting out from under that dark cloud, maybe in a relationship, whatever it is. In context, it's hard to ignore the connection between that and his marriage. So is this just artistic expression or a coded message to Nicole? Some fans and critics think it's the latter. His performance and words on The Road could be a subtle acknowledgement of his personal unraveling. On top of that, there is speculation swirling about a possible new relationship. Rumors link Keith to his young guitarist Maggie Baugh, who's just in her mid-20s. Fans notice their onstage chemistry, and some say he's already emotionally moved on. But not everyone's buying it. Friends of Maggie publicly denied a romantic link, stressing this is being blown out of proportion. Back to Nicole. According to insiders, she's devastated. She's maintaining a strong public front, but in private, she's in pieces, one source said. She has reportedly leaned heavily on her sister Antonia and the rest of the Kidman family for support. Friends say she was fighting to salvage the marriage up until the very end. In a recent magazine cover, Nicole dropped something deeply revealing. There's something to knowing that no matter how painful, there is a way through. You're going to feel like you're broken, but if you move gently and slowly, it does pass. That quote, it feels like more than wisdom. It's a testament to her heartbreak, her resilience, and maybe her acceptance that things changed forever. There are also whispers that the split was signaled far earlier than the filings. One fan claimed, once he quietly set up his own place, it felt like the writing was on the wall. Another added that people close to Keith felt the divorce was inevitable, that the separation was long brewing. And here's one of the juiciest takes. Some believe his public persona, the touring superstar, was always in tension with his role as husband and father. In other words, his life on the road, the very thing that inspired The Road, may have been slowly eroding the foundation of his marriage. At the same time, contestants on his show saw a very different Keith. According to one hopeful musician, he was business professional the whole time. She had no idea about the turmoil in his personal life while filming. That tension between the man on the stage and the man behind the scenes only adds layers to the story. So what does all of this mean for their legacy? Their daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, are in the middle of all of this. Kidman is reportedly the primary residential parent. Some wonder whether this split will be a pivot point in Keith's career. Could the breakup reshape his music, his mindset, even his public identity? Here's one final thought-provoking point. Is this just another rockstar divorce or a bigger turning point for Keith Urban? Is he really bouncing back with someone else, or is he using art, his show, his music, to process a life unraveling? And for Nicole Kidman, could this be a painful ending that's also a deeply revealing new beginning? The truth is, we may never fully know, but one thing's clear. Keith might have been born to tour, but that calling may have cost him more than he ever expected. Sunday Rose, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's daughter, just shared a post that felt different. Not the polished, picture-perfect celebrity family kind of post we're used to seeing, but something raw, something real. She didn't have to say much, just a few photos. One of her mom, smiling softly under Paris skies, and a simple caption, PFW film. But if you look closer, it's more than just Paris Fashion Week vibes. It's a quiet message about what's really going on behind the camera. Because while Nicole Kidman looked effortlessly elegant, the beige trench coat, the high bun, the warm smile, there was something else there. A woman holding herself together in public, while privately, her world was falling apart. And here's the part that hits hardest. That post came just days after Nicole filed for divorce from Keith Urban. What do you think that smile meant? Was it strength or heartbreak? Let me know in the comments, because that moment said more than any interview ever could.
Sunday's Paris post was beautiful on the surface. The city lights, the runway shots, the Dior prep. But for fans who followed Nicole and Keith for years, it carried emotional weight. This wasn't just a trip to Paris. It was one of the first times we'd seen Nicole out in public since her marriage ended. And to see her daughter capturing those moments, proudly showing her mom off to the world, that wasn't coincidence. That was love. Quiet, loyal, unspoken love. You could almost feel Sunday saying, "Mom's okay. She's still shining." But here's the twist. Even though Nicole looked confident, reports say she's been devastated behind the scenes. Sources close to her claim she's still processing how fast everything fell apart, and that she never expected Keith to walk away so suddenly. And honestly, when you look at the timeline, it's easy to see why she's struggling to move on.
The news broke on September 30, 2025. Nicole Kidman officially filed for divorce from Keith Urban after nearly 20 years of marriage. 2 decades together. In Hollywood time, that's basically a lifetime. Fans were stunned. Just months earlier, Nicole had posted a warm anniversary photo, writing, "Happy anniversary, baby." Keith even commented a heart emoji. Everything looked fine. But behind that perfect image, something had already changed. Sources say they'd been living apart since the start of summer, quietly, privately, while still putting on a united front for their daughters, Sunday and Faith. Keith was on his High and Alive world tour, traveling nonstop, while Nicole stayed home, focusing on her family and projects. Still, it was Keith who reportedly made the final call, and according to people close to the couple, Nicole was blindsided. Imagine that, building nearly 2 decades of life with someone, only to find out it's over when you thought you were trying to fix things. That's the kind of heartbreak you can't hide, no matter how glamorous your red carpet smile is.
It wasn't long before fans started piecing things together. In July, Keith made headlines when he abruptly ended a radio interview in Australia. The host had casually asked how he felt seeing his wife in romantic scenes with Zac Efron in the Netflix movie A Family Affair. Keith didn't answer. He just disconnected. And that was it. The team ended the call, and fans were left wondering if that tiny crack was a glimpse of the tension between them. Now, nobody knows exactly what was going on behind closed doors, but around that time, Nicole started appearing at events alone. Her Instagram shifted from couple posts to moments with her kids. She even shared summer photos with Sunday and Faith, but no Keith. And just like that, people realized something had changed. In late July, Nicole applied for residency in Portugal. Sources said Keith planned to do the same, but he was on tour and couldn't attend his appointment. At first, it sounded like a normal paperwork thing, until you remember that Portugal was supposed to be their dream escape, their forever place. So when Nicole applied alone, fans started to wonder, was she preparing for life after Keith before anyone else knew? And maybe the most heartbreaking part, even though both of them said they'd keep their home in Nashville,
It felt like Nicole was quietly building her next chapter without him. What do you think? Was that her way of letting go or just trying to start fresh?
After the filing, Nicole opened up in an interview with Harper's Bazaar, and honestly, her words were haunting. She said, "No matter how painful or difficult something is, there's always a way through." That line hit hard because she wasn't just talking about life, she was talking about survival. She also said that getting older helped her realize that change, no matter how uncomfortable, always comes with lessons. You could tell she was speaking from a place of deep reflection, maybe even heartbreak. And when you match that with Sunday's Paris post, the timing, the tone, the emotion, it all starts to make sense. Nicole might be hurting, but she's still standing tall, surrounded by her daughters, holding on to grace when everything else feels uncertain. What many fans don't realize is that even before the public knew, Nicole and Keith had already finalized a parenting plan. According to reports, Nicole was listed as the primary residential parent, meaning Sunday and Faith would live mostly with her, about 306 days a year. Keith would have them every other weekend. The plan also made one thing very clear. Neither parent could badmouth the other, and both were required to encourage love and respect between the kids and their mom or dad. And honestly, that says a lot about who they are. Two parents trying to protect their children even when their marriage couldn't be saved.
Even after all that, after the paperwork, the interviews, and the headlines, Nicole stepped out in public, still wearing her wedding ring. It was late September. She attended an event in Los Angeles, her hand glittering under the lights. And that one photo sent the internet into a frenzy. Some fans said she was just honoring the past. Others believed she wasn't ready to say goodbye. But here's what's even more interesting. Around the same time, rumors started swirling that Keith might already be moving on. Nothing confirmed, but reports suggested he'd been seen spending time with another woman. And while that might just be gossip, those whispers can cut deep, especially for someone still healing.
That brings us right back to Sunday Rose and her Paris Fashion Week post. It wasn't just a daughter showing off her mom's outfit. It was symbolic. Nicole was smiling again, not for the cameras, but for her daughter. You could feel the shift. She looked softer, freer, maybe even a little hopeful. Sunday's caption said almost nothing, but her photos said everything. Family dinners, little laughs, and those tender in-between moments you don't usually see from a Hollywood icon. It's like she was reminding everyone, we're still here, and we're still okay. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Even in the middle of heartbreak, there's resilience, there's love. What about you? Do you think Sunday's post was a subtle way of defending her mom? Drop your thoughts. I read every comment, looking at everything. The divorce, the distance, the quiet strength. It's clear Nicole isn't the same woman she was 20 years ago. She's been through the spotlight, the scandals, the pain, and somehow still finds a way to smile. Maybe that's what makes her story so relatable, because who hasn't had to rebuild themselves after losing someone they thought would be there forever? And as for Keith, well, only time will tell if he and Nicole can find peace apart. But one thing's for sure, their daughters, Sunday and Faith, seem to be their anchor through it all. And honestly, that's the part that gives this whole story hope. Nicole Kidman's life right now feels like a movie, full of beauty, heartbreak, and rebirth. But unlike the scripts she performs, this one doesn't have a director. She's writing it herself. So maybe the smile in Sunday's post wasn't just for the camera. Maybe it was for the future. Because even after everything, Nicole's proving that grace under pressure isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about choosing to keep shining anyway. What do you think? Is this Nicole's true comeback story or just another Hollywood illusion? Let me know in the comments.